The World Health Organization says that Beijing has reassured that international experts would soon be able to investigate the origin of COVID-19. Beijing said that experts would soon be allowed to travel to China to launch the probe. Emergencies Director at the World Health Organization, Michael Ryan, said, and I'm quoting here, "We fully expect and have reassurances from our Chinese government colleagues that the trip to the field will be facilitated, and as soon as possible, we need to be able to have the international team join our Chinese colleagues and look at the results and outcomes of studies and verify the data on ground." Now, reports say that epidemiologists and animal health experts will also be a part of the team to help probe the origin of the virus. Last month, WHO said that a team of 10 international experts have been constituted, and it held the first meeting with Chinese counterparts. The World Health Organization has been working for months to send a team of international experts to China. When it comes to an independent international investigation into the origin of COVID-19, China has been back and forth, creating confusion for the world on its real position. Now, in February 2020, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom had said that a team of international experts will be sent to China to launch an investigation into the origin of COVID-19. This was the time when COVID-19 death toll in the mainland China surpassed that of SARS epidemic of 2002. Tedros said that the Chinese government had approved the arrival of a team of experts. In April this year, China rejected calls for an independent international investigation into the origin of coronavirus, calling it politically motivated. The US then froze funding to the WHO and called its response to COVID-19 a failure. In May, WHO pledged to launch an independent evaluation of the global response to COVID-19. By this time, the organization's response to the pandemic was being criticized around the world. In July, Beijing's commitment to identify the source of the pandemic came under question yet again. A two-person team of experts deployed by WHO could not visit Wuhan during their 3-week trip to China. The WHO said that the team was only laying the groundwork in advance for a larger team that would carry out this investigation. Scientists initially believed that the coronavirus jumped from animals to humans at a wet market which sells exotic animals for meat in Wuhan. However, experts now believe that the wet market in Wuhan may have been a place where the virus amplified as opposed to the place of origin. It has been widely concluded that the virus originally came from bats, the intermediate animal host that transmitted the disease from bats to human remains unknown. We are now being joined by Vice President of Taiwan's Foreign Correspondents Club, William Yang. Thank you so much for joining us. Could you begin by telling us about the probe, the process of getting the WHO officials in Beijing, the quarantine period, and of course, what the entire process will entail?
Right, so now all foreigners going into China are basically still need to go through a long period of quarantine before they, and then during the quarantine they also need to get multiple tests before they can actually walk freely outside of the quarantine hotel that they originally stayed at. And China has originally made it really clear that all access to the sites of these investigations will be controlled and tightly managed by China. So this, I don't think so far the information that we have right now has indicates something different. So which means that all these access to very valuable information and also the site of actual or possible transmission and amplification of this virus is still under very tight Chinese control. And we have actually seen a lot of suspicion from Western countries and even some other countries around the world. So the big question now is how much authority does the WHO have into this probe?
Yes, I'm actually going to come to that in a minute, but what I wanted to ask you before that is, China had rejected calls for an independent international investigation. There has been a lot of back and forth. What do you think could have led to them finally agreeing to this probe?
I think for China, one thing that's very important is that they feel safe when the pandemic inside the country is under control. And the government also will need to have a very good understanding about what they're dealing with. once they know what they're dealing with, they will become more comfortable opening up to other countries. So we can safely assume that the Chinese government has now gathered enough information that makes them feel comfortable that they will be able to lead and also to facilitate this actual outside investigation. But why it takes this long is just another question that only the Chinese officials and also the high-level officials at the WHO, with the power to request more information, more transparency from the Chinese partners that they are working with on this probe, will be able to offer. So right now, the rest of the world is still being looking through this whole probe in a very thick fog, in a way that, a lot of the information is still very obscure to us.
Yes, and coming to that point that you just made, there has been speculations, as you just mentioned, from US and European delegations, and they've sought a timeline, actually. What can we expect on that front?
I think we can definitely expect the Western democracies to push very hard on the WHO getting as much information and share them with the rest of the member states at the WHO as soon as possible, because as we know, this virus is still transmitting at a very record speed all around the world, outside of China, actually, and in many of these Western democracies. So for them, having enough information will help them to actually build up a much better response mechanism, and also a much better long-term mechanism to deal with future outbreaks. And also the research of vaccine will also benefit from a lot of these information, because the origin of this virus, so far they can only rely on the sequence that China has shared. And also, we also know that in the beginning, China delayed sharing the sequence to the world, so that a lot of these information are still lacking. And so we can expect the Western democracies to keep pushing the WHO to really work harder to get all these valuable information, so that the international community will be able to form a much better global-wide strategy to deal with the pandemic in the coming months.
Yes. All right, William, thank you so much for joining us with all those details.